If you have trees and your trees have branches, disregard that. Anyway, you'll love this tool. Milwaukee sent us out their brand new M18 brushless telescoping, who knows, whatever that is, pruning shears or pole pruning shears. Now this is supposed to cut up to 1 3/4 inch capacity. We'll test that out and see. Obviously runs on their M18 platform and looks a lot like their pole saw that we just reviewed a couple of months ago. So let's give it a run. Now, full disclosure, Milwaukee did provide these pole pruning shears at no charge to us, so therefore this is a sponsored video. However, that's never going to change our opinion on a tool or our thoughts and what we share with you about it. Let's get started. We'll start here with the business end or the dangerous end of the Milwaukee pruning shears. Now, this does not have the battery in it, so that's why my hands are closed here. Also, the blade is closed. We'll open it up here in just one moment. But you see kind of the action system we have here. We have kind of the axis here where it's going to be pivoting on, and this is the actionary arm that's actually going to be pulling this and pushing this closed. And if I flip this over, we'll see even some gearing here, riding against here to provide some extra stability. There's really nothing driving that. This is riding on the pin, and this is just a more of a support gear there. But all the power is actually coming through here and being driven at the other end by the brushless motor. Now the model number on this is the 3008-20. Obviously, that would be for the bare tool. If you want a kit with a battery, it would be a -21, or 2 batteries would be a -22. Not sure exactly how they're going to be kitted right now. But anyway, so here is the opening end or the blade end or the pruning end of the Milwaukee. Now, also, before we open this up, I want to show you this retractable branch hook, if you will. A lot of times if it has a branch hook on a pole saw or pruning shears, then it's kind of always there all the time. But if I reach down here and pull this hook up, now I've got a really strong branch hook I can pull with. And if I don't want that there, I can just push this button and that retracts right away where it's no longer in the way. So again, you can decide if you want that out or if you want that in. So I think that's a nice little feature, and very strong steel right there as well. It's not just a piece of thin steel that's been cut out. It's actually some hardened steel that's going to grab and hold. And again, nice strong spring to pull that out of the way. Now the blade itself is made out of a high strength steel. In fact, it's DC53, so should last quite a while, and that's also replaceable as well. I'm going to go ahead and stick a battery in here. We'll open that up. Pull the battery back out. And so you can see the blade opening there, which is actually much larger than 1 3/4 inches. You see at its widest, I don't know, it's every bit of 3+ inches, but of course it's not going to grab anything out there. Here in the mouth, you can see 1 3/4 inches about right there where it's going to grab and be able to cut. So we'll see if it actually cuts 1 3/4 inches, but you can see that the opening is at least that much and more. Now, if we want to extend this, but before we do, let's go ahead and get a measurement, and I'm going to go right from the full length of the shear. That's right at 7 feet. Let me make sure we're all the way, there we go. So now we're all the way in. So from back to front, so right at 81 inches, so almost 7 feet. About 3 inches short of 7 feet, all the way retracted. And if we want to extend this, very easy, large collar here that we can grab, just give it a quick quarter turn, and now we can slide this out. Now, the cool thing about this is there's really no spring mechanism that's holding it out or holding it in, except when you come all the way in, you'll get a little spring bracket right there. So it is a little tougher to pull in, but it's by no means tough. It's just there's more resistance when you actually pull in this last, say, foot or so when you're actually pulling this in. But again, there's no tension either way except that last foot or so. And if I want to collapse it all the way and close it, I can. Just hold it with a little bit of pressure. But otherwise, you just kind of pull it out and it stays. So it's really nice. Really solid construction. It's got like kind of a rectangular or squarish type of aluminum shaft. Very solid. and then lock that down, and it's going to lock it into place. And now at full extension, we're right at 118 inches, so just shy of 10 feet. Now, if you're going to be holding it anyway, then you're going to add how far you're holding it actually off the ground when you're holding and using these pruning shears. Again, we still have the battery out, so no chance of that actually closing on my fingers. Now, the action on this is rather quick. 1001. So, I don't know, a second and a quarter maybe to actually close all the way. And about the same to open back up. Very strong pull. And Milwaukee also claims up to 2,000 half-inch cuts with one 6-amp-hour battery. Now you'll see here on the handle end that it's got a really sleek design here, and with the battery out, you see the battery sticks out just a touch. Slide the battery out, and even a sleeker line there that's going to enable this to slide into storage tubes or pieces of conduit on vans, things like that, to slide this away, put it in there, put the cap on it safely, and just a nice way to put this away, especially in something that's as long as 7 feet like this pole pruning shear. The handle is here. You have a dead man switch right here, or a safety button, so we have to slide that forward, press that before we can hit the actuation. So if I just pull the trigger, obviously no action. Push this down and then pull and hold. That closes all the way. When I release, that opens all the way. So I can stop the action as well and go back. So see what I'm talking about here? Now, included with the saw is this little ring here, and we can quickly take the thumb screw out, open that up, and it's going to clamp onto the shaft and now provide a place for you to put the strap that's also included with the pole saw as well. And we also get a cover for the cutting head. If you'll hold the trigger and close the blade and then pull the battery, it will leave the blade closed, and then you can put the head cover on. And now one of the biggest pains in Florida with trimming trees are palm trees. And it's because they're really not a wood, they're more like a grass. So they're very fibrous. So taking a saw to these palm fronds are kind of a pain because they just want to rip rather than cut. Now here's a young oak that's definitely over 1 3/4 inches. Let's go ahead and give this a cut. Few cuts, made it through. Well, you can see this is the oak that we just cut. Good old Florida oak, nice and filled with water there, soaking wet. And yeah, that was every bit of a 2-inch diameter tree there. So it did take a few tries at it, but it did cut through. Let's get down to 1 3/4 inches and see how it does. We'll get down here where it's definitely smaller, probably 1 inch here. And then these smaller 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch stuff. So again, you can see here on the smaller side, so that's a 1.5 inch, almost 1.5 inch, 1 3/8 inch cut that is cutting right through in one pass. So as long as you get it all the way back in the jaws, it's making that in one pass. With it laying on the table there, it's wanting to move on me. So there you see it's getting stuck on the blade itself. So the larger 1.5 inch plus stuff, you're really going to want to get back in the jaws and have some pressure against it to get a single pass. So you see, if you don't have pressure against it, it's just going to want to try to push out and get to the tip of that cutting blade rather than staying in the throat. The 1 inch and smaller stuff, so if you have a landscaping company or a land clearing company and you need to trim trees, especially palm trees, they are such a pain. These shears are the way to go, much better than like a pole saw. Now, if you're getting larger limbs, say, 4, 6 inch stuff, obviously pruners aren't going to work for you. You're going to need a pole saw. And Milwaukee claims a 1 3/4 inch cut capacity. Well, they don't specify what type of wood, and that's going to vary dramatically. Now, in this oak at 1 3/4 inches, it was very tough to cut through. Did it do it? Yes. Made a couple of passes to do it, or took a couple of passes to do it, but it did it. 1.5 inch didn't seem to be a problem as long as you kept it back in the throat of the shears, which is pretty typical. Whether you're using hand shears or powering shears or what have you, you want to keep it back in the back. So when it was just kind of free laying here on the table, it wanted to kind of push away and get to the tip, and then obviously you're not going to get that power to cut through. But after a couple of attempts, it did do it. If you're in that 1.5 inch and smaller range, you're not going to have to worry about it. It's going to cut through probably on the single pass every time. It's a great tool. You're looking at about $699 for the kit. I'm not sure if that comes with one battery or if that comes with 2 batteries. One battery should last you the whole day at 2,000 cuts. If not, then 2 batteries are definitely going to be more than enough. But I would say for most people, for most companies, under 2,000 cuts would probably be absolutely fine on a 6 amp hour battery, and you're going to be fine. The extension is very nice, very solid, even when it's fully extended. Doesn't feel all wet and floppy like some pole saws and extending telescoping tools do. Got a very solid feel to it. And you can add the strap to this as well, giving you even more stability where it's hanging on your shoulders rather than you just holding it. At about 14 pounds, 15 pounds with the battery, it's not that heavy. Obviously, if you were carrying this all day long and holding it out a long ways, that would tend to get heavy. But for a few cuts or, for using it an hour or so, you could probably get away without using that strap. But obviously, it's there for you to use if you want to. So price is $699 on that. 3-year warranty on this tool. Check it out. We'll have a link in the description. This should be coming out in March. It's February right now. In the next couple of weeks, we should see this hit the market. Again, it's the model number 3008-20 as a bare tool. Keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.